Have you guys ever heard of Mel's Hole? This is the wildest thing I've heard in a while.
For decades, a mysterious story has captivated the imagination of paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics alike. The legend of Mel's Hole.
All right. When did you discover this hole?
The hole has always been there. We've been out there for a couple of years now. The hole has been there since we've been there. It's been there since the previous owner was there. And the previous owner there was quite elderly. He was there for a good 30, 40 years before we moved in.
Wow.
First brought to public attention in the late 1990s on Art Bell's popular late-night radio show, this allegedly bottomless pit in rural Washington state has been the subject of wild speculation, government conspiracy theories, and campfire tales.
There are a couple aspects of Mel's Hole, paranormal aspects that make it intriguing. One of them is a supposed black beam that emits from the hole.
Despite numerous attempts to verify its existence, the true nature of Mel's Hole remains shrouded in mystery until now. In an unprecedented scientific expedition mounted in 2025, researchers finally gained access to this enigmatic site, employing cutting-edge technology to investigate what lies beneath the surface. What they discovered would challenge everything we thought we knew about this enduring mystery. The story begins on February 21st, 1997, when a man identifying himself as Mel Waters called into Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM radio show. His tale was extraordinary. Waters claimed to own property near Ellensburg, Washington, that contained a mysterious hole of seemingly infinite depth. According to Waters, he had personally dropped fishing line into the hole, letting out over 80,000 feet without ever hitting bottom. Even more incredible, he insisted that this bizarre feature had been known to locals for generations and was commonly used as a disposal site for unwanted items, from household garbage to dead animals. Waters' story might have been dismissed as mere fiction, but his detailed descriptions and apparent sincerity captured the public's imagination. In subsequent appearances on Bell's show, he elaborated on the hole's properties, describing how it emitted no echoes when objects were dropped into it and how it seemed to possess strange electromagnetic qualities that affected nearby equipment. The tale spread rapidly through paranormal communities, gaining traction in the early days of the internet. Amateur investigators began searching for the location, though Waters was deliberately vague about its exact coordinates, claiming he feared government intervention. Indeed, as the story evolved, Waters added claims that mysterious men in black had approached him, offering to lease his property for substantial sums. Mel Waters' extraordinary claims. As Waters continued his appearances on Coast to Coast AM, his accounts of the hole grew increasingly fantastical. Beyond merely being bottomless, he described a series of supernatural properties that defied explanation. Perhaps most striking was his claim about the hole's effect on dead animals. According to Waters, he had witnessed a neighbor dispose of a deceased dog in the hole, only for the same animal to be spotted alive days later. However, the resurrected dog allegedly behaved strangely, avoiding its former owner and seeming somehow different, as if something else inhabited its reanimated body. Waters also detailed bizarre atmospheric effects surrounding the hole. He claimed the air around it seemed to shimmer in a distinct way, even on cloudy days with no direct sunlight. Sound behaved oddly near the pit. Voices would seem muffled, and the expected echo from dropping objects never returned, regardless of how loud the initial impact should have been. Most peculiar was his assertion that ice placed near the hole would refuse to melt, even when subjected to direct heat. In later interviews, Waters expanded his narrative to include a second hole he had purportedly discovered in Nevada after being forced to relocate. This second hole supposedly possessed even stranger qualities, including the ability to emit a black beam that could transform materials. His most outlandish claim involved a dead sheep that, when partially lowered into the hole and retrieved, had a strange jellified red substance in place of its innards. A substance Waters claimed contained a mysterious radio-transmitting metal unknown to science. Waters also spoke of government involvement, suggesting military personnel had taken an interest in the Washington hole, eventually fencing off the area and establishing a fake military installation as cover. He claimed to have been offered $250,000 to leave his property, eventually accepting the money and moving to Australia before returning to discover the second hole in Nevada. previous investigation attempts. The compelling nature of Waters' story inevitably attracted those determined to separate fact from fiction. Throughout the early 2000s, numerous amateur investigators and paranormal enthusiasts attempted to locate the mysterious hole combing through rural Washington with only vague directions and contradictory clues. These early search efforts were hampered by Waters' intentional vagueness about the exact location, which he justified as necessary to protect the site from exploitation. More organized investigations soon followed. In 2002, a team of geologists from Central Washington University, intrigued by the geological impossibility of Waters' claims, conducted a survey of the region where the hole was supposedly located. Their findings revealed no evidence of any unusual geological formations that could match Waters' descriptions. Similarly, local historical societies examined land records and oral histories, finding no mention of such a remarkable feature in the area's documented past. By 2007, the story had attracted enough attention that several documentary filmmakers attempted to track down Mel Waters himself. These efforts proved unsuccessful, with no conclusive evidence that anyone matching Waters' description had ever owned property in the area. County land records showed no owner by that name during the relevant period, raising questions about Waters' very existence. Perhaps most telling were the investigations by government agencies. Following Freedom of Information Act requests filed by persistent researchers, both the Bureau of Land Management and the Department of Defense confirmed they had no records of any unusual geological feature in the area, nor any record of land acquisition matching Waters' timeline. The alleged government cover-up appeared to be as insubstantial as the bottomless pit itself. Scientific Expedition of 2025. The breakthrough came in late 2024 when Dr. Eleanor Voss, a geophysicist specializing in subterranean anomalies, secured funding for what would become the most comprehensive investigation of Mel's Hole to date. Unlike previous efforts, Dr. Voss approached the mystery not from the angle of proving or disproving Waters' specific claims, but as an opportunity to study unusual geological formations in the region that might have inspired the legend. Her methodical approach paid off in January 2025 when advanced satellite imaging identified a significant thermal anomaly near Manastash Ridge, roughly matching one of Waters' vague descriptions. Preliminary ground surveys revealed a natural opening partially obscured by vegetation and rockfall, not the perfectly circular shaft of legend, but a substantial vertical cave system with unusual properties. The expedition team assembled by Dr. Voss represented a multidisciplinary approach to the investigation. Beyond geologists and speleologists, the team included atmospheric scientists, biologists specializing in extremophile organisms, and even a cultural anthropologist documenting the intersection between the site and its legend. Their equipment was equally impressive. Autonomous mapping drones capable of functioning in tight spaces, multispectral imaging systems, seismic sensors, and a custom-developed modular probe that could sample air, rock, and any biological material encountered. The initial descent in March 2025 was methodical and cautious. Unlike Waters' claimed 80,000 feet, the team mapped the main shaft to a still impressive depth of 997 feet before it opened into a complex network of horizontal passages. What made this formation remarkable was not its depth, but its unusual geological composition and the distinct microclimate within the cave system. Most significantly, the team documented several physical properties that, while explainable by science, could easily have been misinterpreted or exaggerated into the supernatural features described by Waters. The cave's acoustic properties in particular created zones where sound was dramatically dampened or distorted. The specific mineral composition of the walls absorbed certain radio frequencies, creating dead zones for communication equipment. And perhaps most intriguingly, several chambers contained high concentrations of naturally occurring gases that created visible atmospheric distortion, the shimmer described in Waters' accounts. Geological findings. The geological analysis of the Manastash Formation revealed a complex history spanning millions of years. Core samples indicated that unlike typical cave systems formed primarily through water erosion of limestone, This structure originated from a combination of ancient volcanic activity and subsequent tectonic shifting. Approximately 17 million years ago, during the formation of the Columbia River basalt group, magma had created vertical conduits through existing rock layers. As the magma receded, it left behind these hollow columns, which were later modified by groundwater erosion and seismic activity. Dr. Voss's team identified an unusual concentration of magnetite and other iron-rich minerals embedded in the cave walls, explaining the electromagnetic anomalies reported near the site. These deposits created a localized magnetic field strong enough to interfere with compass readings and, in some cases, affect sensitive electronic equipment, a phenomenon that likely contributed to Waters' claims about equipment malfunctions. Perhaps most significant was the discovery of a rare geological feature known as a natural gas chimney, the vertical shaft connected to deep pockets of methane, carbon dioxide, and other gases that periodically vented upward. The team documented how temperature inversions within the chimney could trap these gases at various levels, creating distinct atmospheric layers with different properties. In winter conditions, this could produce the cold-preserving effect Waters had described, where objects near the hole remained frozen due to a steady flow of dense, cold air from below. The team also found evidence of periodic breathing, a phenomenon where barometric pressure changes cause air to flow into or out of the cave system. During certain weather conditions, this could create a powerful downdraft, potentially giving the impression that objects dropped into the hole were falling much farther than reality. This same effect explained why no echoes returned. Sound waves were either dispersed through the complex tunnel network or carried away by the airflow. Advanced imaging results. The expedition's advanced imaging technologies revealed aspects of Mel's Hole that would have been impossible to detect through conventional exploration. Multispectral analysis penetrated beyond visible light, mapping the cave system in unprecedented detail while identifying mineral compositions that would remain invisible to the naked eye. Ground-penetrating radar deployed around the perimeter of the main shaft revealed an extensive network of smaller fissures and chambers extending outward like the roots of a tree. These secondary structures explained one of the most persistent mysteries from Waters' account, how the hole could seemingly swallow endless amounts of material without filling up. Objects dropped into the main shaft could be diverted into these peripheral spaces, creating the illusion of infinite depth. Thermal imaging proved particularly revealing, documenting temperature variations throughout the system that defied normal expectations. While most deep caves maintain relatively stable temperatures reflecting annual averages for their region, the Manastash Formation showed dramatic thermal stratification. Some chambers registered nearly 15 degrees below expected temperatures, while others showed unexplained hotspots reaching 27 degrees above ambient temperatures with no obvious geothermal source. Three-dimensional acoustic mapping performed by emitting calibrated sound pulses and recording their reflections created a comprehensive model of how sound waves behaved within the cave system. This confirmed the presence of acoustic shadow zones, where sound waves were almost completely absorbed by the unique mineral composition of the walls, explaining Waters' reports of objects falling silently without producing echoes. Perhaps most fascinating were the results from muon tomography, a technique similar to X-ray imaging but using naturally occurring cosmic particles that can penetrate dense materials. This revealed density variations deep within the surrounding bedrock, including a previously unknown aquifer system approximately 1,200 feet below the lowest accessible point of the cave. This underground water source likely played a crucial role in the cave's formation and continued to influence its microclimate through evaporation and gas exchange. The physical properties explained the scientific team methodically tested each of the strange phenomena attributed to Mel's Hole, finding natural explanations that were often more fascinating than the supernatural alternatives. The apparent absence of echoes, one of Waters' most frequently cited claims, resulted from a combination of factors. The main shaft's irregular surface scattered sound waves rather than reflecting them cleanly back to the source. Additionally, the team documented a layer of microporous minerals lining many of the cave walls that effectively absorbed sound waves within certain frequency ranges, similar to materials used in professional sound studios. The bizarre electromagnetic effects reported near the hole were traced to the unusual concentration of ferromagnetic minerals in the surrounding rock. These created fluctuating magnetic fields that could indeed affect compass readings and interfere with radio transmissions. More interesting was the discovery that these magnetic properties varied with temperature and humidity, creating a dynamic electromagnetic environment that changed with weather conditions and seasons. Perhaps the most striking finding concerned the alleged preservation properties of the hole. The team documented a steady emission of carbon dioxide and other heavier-than-air gases that created a layered atmosphere within the shaft. Near the opening, this produced a zone where oxygen was displaced, creating conditions inhospitable to the bacteria responsible for decomposition. Animal remains placed in this environment would indeed decompose much more slowly than normal, potentially appearing preserved to casual observation. The team also investigated the claimed resurrection of dead animals. While finding no evidence of any life-restoring properties, they did document an unusual phenomenon. Small animals that fell into the hole could sometimes survive the fall due to the strong updrafts during certain weather conditions. Additionally, the complex tunnel system meant animals could enter through one opening and emerge from another, potentially giving the impression that a disposed animal had somehow returned. Water behavior near the hole showed unusual properties as well. The team measured significant electrostatic charges generated by air moving through the narrow passages, which could affect the surface tension of water and create the beading effect Waters had described. This same electrostatic phenomenon explained reports of hair standing on end and the tingling sensations experienced by people standing near the opening during certain weather conditions. Similar phenomena worldwide. The Manastash Formation, while unique in its specific combination of features, belongs to a class of geological anomalies found across the globe. The expedition team compiled comparative data from similar sites, establishing a context for understanding this discovery within the broader spectrum of unusual planetary features. The Siberian doorway to the underworld, known scientifically as the Beta-Geica crater, shares certain characteristics with Mel's Hole, particularly its ongoing expansion and unusual thermal properties. However, while Beta-Geica formed through the melting of permafrost, the Manastash Formation's volcanic origins create fundamentally different internal dynamics. Closer in structure are the volcanic pipes of Kamchatka, Russia, where ancient magma channels created vertical shafts through existing rock layers. These pipes similarly feature unusual mineral compositions and can emit various gases, though they typically lack the complex secondary chamber structure documented at Manastash. Mexico's Cave of Crystals, Cueva de los Cristales, offers another parallel, particularly regarding unusual atmospheric conditions creating unique preservation environments. Like certain chambers in the Manastash Formation, the Mexican cave maintains conditions that would be impossible on the surface, demonstrating how subterranean spaces can develop microclimates that seem to defy normal physical laws. Perhaps most intriguing are the comparisons with Iceland's volcanic vents, which similarly feature complex electromagnetic properties due to their mineral content. Researchers have documented how these Icelandic formations influence local folklore for centuries, with tales of magical properties that bear striking resemblance to the legends surrounding Mel's Hole. The team also noted similarities with certain man-made structures that have generated their own modern mythology. The alleged Black Hole of Calcutta in India and various abandoned mining shafts across North America have accumulated similar legends of bottomless depths and supernatural properties, demonstrating how human psychology consistently responds to these types of geological features with similar mythologizing tendencies. Cultural impact of Mel's Hole. Beyond its geological significance, the legend of Mel's Hole has left an indelible mark on contemporary folklore and popular culture. Since Waters' first radio appearance in 1997, the story has evolved into a modern myth that reveals much about our collective psyche and relationship with the unknown. Local communities near Ellensburg experience direct economic effects from the legend. Several small businesses capitalized on the mystery, selling Mel's Hole merchandise ranging from t-shirts to authentic soil samples supposedly collected near the site. Tourism increased modestly, with self-appointed guides offering tours to various locations claimed to be the real Mel's Hole. The Qaunta County Museum even created a small exhibit documenting the phenomenon as part of the region's cultural heritage. The story permeated popular media as well. Independent filmmakers produced several documentaries investigating the claims, while fiction writers incorporated elements of the legend into novels and short stories. References appeared in television shows dealing with paranormal themes, and several musical artists from the Pacific Northwest composed songs inspired by the bottomless pit and its supposed properties. Within paranormal communities, Mel's Hole achieved something approaching canonical status, regularly appearing on lists of unexplained phenomena alongside more established mysteries like the Bermuda Triangle or the Martha Lights. The story's persistence demonstrates how modern legends can flourish in the internet age, with online forums and social media allowing believers to share experiences, theories, and supposed evidence without the critical evaluation traditional publishing would provide. Perhaps most significantly, the Mel's Hole narrative revealed the continuing power of oral tradition in the digital age. As the story passed from person to person, details shifted and evolved, with each teller unconsciously adapting the legend to resonate with their audience's expectations and cultural context. The core elements remained: the bottomless depth, the strange properties, the government conspiracy, while peripheral details morphed to maintain the story's relevance and appeal. Debunking the myths with comprehensive data from the 2025 expedition, researchers could finally address the most fantastic elements of the Mel's Hole legend, separating scientific reality from folklore embellishment. The team's systematic approach examined each major claim associated with the site, testing them against physical evidence. The most fundamental myth, that the hole was bottomless or extended for tens of thousands of feet, was conclusively disproven through multiple measurement techniques. Laser range finding, physical exploration, and seismic mapping all confirmed a maximum vertical depth of approximately 997 feet before the main shaft transitioned into horizontal passages. The perception of endless depth likely originated from a combination of visual illusions created by the shaft's darkness, sound absorption preventing echoes, and powerful air currents affecting dropped objects. Waters' claims about dead animals returning to life were thoroughly investigated through controlled experiments. The team placed deceased small mammals obtained ethically from wildlife rehabilitation centers at various locations within the cave system and monitored them using time-lapse photography and environmental sensors. As expected, no reanimation occurred, though the team did document unusual preservation effects due to the high carbon dioxide levels and low temperatures in certain chambers. This could explain reports of animals looking unchanged even after significant time had passed. The alleged electromagnetic anomalies proved partially based in fact, though greatly exaggerated in folklore. Comprehensive electromagnetic field mapping revealed modest variations, sufficient to cause minor compass deviations but nowhere near strong enough to affect larger equipment or create the dramatic effects described by Waters. Similarly, the team documented the cave's unusual acoustic properties, which could indeed muffle sounds in ways that might seem supernatural to casual observers, though through entirely natural mechanisms. Perhaps most conclusively, the researchers conducted historical and records research that strongly suggested Mel Waters himself may have been a fictional creation. No property records, tax documents, or other official records confirm the existence of anyone by that name owning land in the area during the relevant time period. Interviews with longtime residents revealed no knowledge of such a person or the spectacular hole he claimed to have discovered, despite Waters' assertion that it was well known locally. Remaining questions. Despite the expedition's success in explaining many aspects of the Mel's Hole legend, several intriguing questions remain unanswered, ensuring that scientific interest in the Manistash Formation will continue for years to come. Perhaps most puzzling is the origin of the complex gas mixture found in the deepest accessible chambers. Preliminary analysis detected trace elements that don't match the surrounding geological composition, suggesting either an unknown mineral source deeper underground or a biogenic origin from undiscovered extremophile communities. The unusual thermal variations throughout the cave system also defy complete explanation. While some temperature anomalies can be attributed to air circulation patterns and gas venting, others show no clear relationship to known thermodynamic processes. Several chambers maintain temperatures significantly below what would be expected based on depth and insulation, without any evident cooling mechanism. This has prompted theories about undiscovered geothermal interactions or novel heat transfer properties in the unique mineral formations lining these spaces. The formation's age presents another ongoing area of investigation. While initial dating of the primary volcanic structures places their origin approximately 17 million years ago, certain features appear significantly younger. Some passages show evidence of more recent formation, potentially as recent as 10,000 years ago, suggesting ongoing geological processes that continue to modify the system. Understanding this timeline could provide valuable insights into the region's seismic history and future activity. From a cultural perspective, questions persist about how the legend originated and evolved. If Mel Waters was indeed a fictional character, as the evidence suggests, who created him and for what purpose? Was the story a deliberate hoax, an exercise in storytelling that unexpectedly gained traction, or perhaps a misidentification of a different local geological feature that became exaggerated through retelling? The biological implications of the cave system remain particularly tantalizing. Preliminary surveys identified several previously undocumented microorganism species adapted to the unusual environment, raising the possibility that the Manastash Formation may represent a unique biological niche. Further studies are planned to investigate whether these organisms possess novel metabolic pathways or genetic adaptations that could have applications in biotechnology or medicine.